I know I'm a week late, but if you haven't already, you have to go see The Substance. No, I mean right now. I'll wait. For real, go. No joke, this was one of the most fun movie experiences I've ever had. Not just this year, I mean ever. First of all, the theater I saw this in had substance-themed drinks, which added a lot to the experience. I mean, just look at how fun these little guys are. But I saw it in a smaller theater with a smaller crowd, making the watch feel a lot more intimate. Which is kind of ironic, but I'll get into that in a second. I feel like this is a very common theme with good horror movies, but you always trauma bond with the audience. When the lights come on and you all look at each other as you slowly walk out in a daze, wanting to talk and react but not being able to find the words, it was that, but on another level. It was like we all just witnessed a gruesome car wreck we couldn't look away from. And I do like going to the theater, but I will admit that in this day and age, it's kind of hard sometimes. It's a lot easier to just stay home and stream. But this movie revived that love I had for going. And I know that's a strong take, especially considering I watched this like 3 hours ago of me writing this, but it's because this is a movie you can only watch in theaters in my opinion, and honestly only watch it once. And obviously this is all because I really liked it too, but it felt like an experience. A roller coaster, a haunted house, a drug trip. Just something you can't recreate no matter how many times you try to relive the first. Now I did have high expectations for this going in, even though I'm not entirely sure why because I had only seen one trailer a while ago, and I mostly saw negative reviews. But something just compelled me to watch it. Maybe it's because I'm a Margaret Qualley fan, maybe it's just because I'm excited for everything horror, but I had to go see this. And not only did it blow away my expectations completely out of the water, it was pretty different than what I expected in a very good way. Now before we get into the bare bones of this movie, I do want to address some of the negative reviews. So in my first version of this video script, I was kinda pissed off. To say you don't like this movie is very understandable. It's absolutely disgusting. Me and my friend each had to walk out at times to take a quick breather because it was that grotesque. And there are flaws with this movie, sure, I didn't notice or agree that they were flaws, but it's art, it's subjective. But the discourse around this film just annoyed the hell out of me. It is a film that inherently comes with symbolism and a message just because of the story it's trying to tell. It's about an aging female TV star, a workout instructor at that, navigating the end of her career in a male-dominated workspace. A very misogynistic one as well. So not only are there takes on society, but it dives into the self-image and internal struggles of a woman. And it's a body horror movie, so messages and concepts around the idea of our bodies is practically the basis of a body horror film. But I don't really think the messages are the purpose of this movie. I originally thought that this was a case of people are missing the point trying to find one. When I do understand that there are messages, or at least they are showcasing very real problems on an absurd scale. But seeing all these think pieces about it, people saying they didn't handle the discourse well or it's contrived, like just stop trying to be a snob about it. This is not the film for this type of annoying movie review culture we live in nowadays. And coming from a YouTuber who talks about movies, I know how hypocritical this sounds. But damn man, can we not just have fun? Some people are saying this movie is surface level in its messaging like it's a bad thing when really it's just straight to the point. It's not trying to be an allegory or a monumental philosophical discussion. It's just trying to be a horror movie. And I've seen a lot of people say it's ramming its message down the audience's throat when really that's just what the movie's about. The story could be told in a different setting, but it chose this one. So those inherently touchy, evil, and topical subjects are going to be a part of it. But it doesn't mean that that's the focal point of the movie. They're trying to give you a good movie, not give you a good message. Even though I don't think the messages and the substance are that bad, but anyway. With The Substance, you could apply this story to a male actor or just a guy who wants to be bigger, stronger, and better. It can be applied to a non-binary person, someone with gender dysphoria. It could be applied to any person. It just chose this as its setup. And what this setup allowed for was a very interesting, unique, yet realistic and comprehensive journey that makes complete sense. She's going through a very real journey that many women go through. They just turn up the volume to 1,000. So when I see these long-winded reviews about it being a take on misogyny, self-image, addiction, and beauty standards, like, yeah, no shit. The movie is what the movie is. And what it wants to do is shock the hell out of you, be a good body horror, and keep you on the edge of your seat. But anyway, why did I like it so much? Well, I am one to appreciate absurdism and carnage in movies, but gore never really gets me. Something like Terrifier never affected me because it's like, yeah, they had a bunch of buckets of fake blood. Oh no. Not trying to sound hard, it's just not that jarring, I guess. But with a budget and production like The Substance, they were allowed to actually visualize some of the most intense, gross, and imaginative scenes that never stop shocking me. And they continue to one-up the previous moment with something even crazier as you keep thinking to yourself, no way this gets worse. And somehow, every time, it does. And I've seen some body horror before, but I feel like it never has captured the core of those feelings it's trying to invoke as much as The Substance did. It quite literally makes you want to crawl out of your own skin while you are watching someone crawl out of their own skin. Instead of feeling like you're trapped inside your own body, you're watching someone take over yours and do whatever they want to it. And the camera work and the situations are just so in your face that you see every aspect of the human body not being able to look away. I guess at least for me, something like blood and throw up doesn't hit the same as someone pulling their own teeth out. Or Dennis Quaid eating shrimp. I mean, Jesus Christ, that is probably the worst scene. Now, if the movie was just gross, I wouldn't sit there for 2+ hours wanting to throw up. There are other elements that make this movie great. For one, we need to give Demi Moore her flowers. For doing such a personal movie that I honestly imagine was probably hard for her to film because it's very real to what her stage in her career is, she put her all into this movie. She does such a good job at expressing the rage, the fear, the shock, the uncomfortableness, and turns into a completely new character multiple times through the movie. No pun intended. Her performance in some aspects of the movie reminded me a lot of the mom from Requiem for a Dream, a similarly uncomfortable film. Margaret Qualley is good. I mean, she doesn't do anything wrong, but this role didn't really require a lot from her. But the casting of these two actors was such a great choice. When she is on screen, she does kill it. But they were quite literally playing themselves in this movie, which made it feel so much more authentic. And something I did not expect from this film was how funny it was. It's pretty campy in a way that uses some old horror tropes to great comedic effect. It feels very self-aware, and it's willing to turn the ridiculousness all the way up. But some of the lines and actions by the characters are just so out there that there's nothing else to do but laugh your ass off. There is just straight comedy in it, but a lot of the laughs were based solely off the absurdity. And not to bring it back to the critiques, but I did see some reviews that said it wasn't self-aware because it's trying too hard to have a message. But the ending of the movie lets you know that they are being completely self-aware. I'm really trying my hardest not to spoil it, but some of the reactions of the actors in the ending sequence are the funniest moments of the movie. It's just so unrealistic and so campy, but it's like that "what if they said this" type of vibe, where you're kind of expecting it, but it still comes as a surprise. It really feels like that internal dialogue where you're like, the funniest thing that could happen right now is blank, and someone actually does it. And the ending in general was such a way to close out the story. Everything is building and building to where you need this explosive, epic closing scene, and they nail it on the head. It's a perfect visual representation of that climactic feeling and literally erupts into an epic, hilarious finale. And to that what if sentiment that I keep talking about, the last chapter of the movie follows the same format and structure of the first two, even though the story has gone beyond any resemblance of a normal movie. And by fitting that level of ridiculousness into a structure it does not fit in, makes for some of the funniest moments I've seen from any comedy movie. Man, I really just want to talk about it, but I do not want to spoil it. If you guys like this video, then maybe in a couple weeks I'll talk about it more in depth. But if you have seen it and you know what I'm talking about, the third title card, that was just perfect. That last chapter could have been an hour and I would have been happy. But yeah, I'm just trying to gush about it from a general standpoint, but it really does just do everything you don't think it will. It's a never-ending overstimulation with amazing visual effects, the wildest visual effects, pure comedy, and the most uncomfortable feelings you could imagine. I could totally understand anyone not liking this because of how gross it is, but if that's something you can look past, this is such a wild ride that you will have so much fun with. And don't be swayed by the think pieces. All it's trying to be is a good horror movie, and in my opinion, it accomplishes that. I didn't talk much about the scary aspects, but it is scary. But more in a, oh my god, I can't imagine being in that situation type fear. Like being trapped in a room with something you're afraid of, someone breathing down your neck, or just being paralyzed. It's in your face literally with the camera work, but it's in your face with making you think and see things you don't want to think about. Sometimes a good horror movie doesn't need jump scares or evil monsters. In this case, the monster is the one you root for and sympathize with, and at its core, it's just pure utter shock in the most effective way possible. Personally, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, but go watch it and please let me know what you think. And if you made it this far, again, thank you for always hearing me ramble. More videos are on the way. And can we please get more absurdity like this in the movie theater?